Chocolate City Show podcast in effect, and a lot of people are have some thoughts on this podcast with Joe Budden, and and I was just pondering it because I was just kind of going, there was a lot of scuttlebutt about it, and you hear this, you hear that, but nobody really knows what's going on with Joe Budden's podcast as far as they got all in their panties in a bunch about his co-host Roy and Mal uh, not being on the couple of podcasts. I guess there's some type of internal um, situations going on there um, that they know that they only know, and you hear a lot of the I'm just reading little things, comments and stuff like that and a lot of different bloggers have commented, so I figure the Men Game Network got a comment since I was kind of intrigued by it, and what's really wild is that um, you have other bloggers kind of like this is a feeding frenzy for them, so to speak. Um, what's the whole situation? I mean, a lot of people they dig the Joe Budden's podcast, and as you know, I did something like earlier on my other channel, on the Vanguardian TV channel, and I had some thoughts on it was a situation with Joe Budden. He was addressing Charlemagne, who had made some comments in regards to Joe Budden's situation with Spotify, and so I gave my little spill on that. Joe Budden, is the draw. Joe Budden is the guy. Is the name on the podcast is the basically the Joe Budden. This is his initials, but it's the Joe Budden podcast. And so, kudos to Joe. I guess when he was on Spotify or whatever, he had his buddies. He had his crew, his boys, his buddies or whatever. A group of guys that he started his podcast with a few years back, and they were able to be successful. They got a lot of views, very popular podcast in the podcast universe, so to speak. He's right up the top, and his show is unique. It brings a kind of informalness about it, kind of relaxed discussion, and basically giving their thoughts, touching on a few ideas, touching on the different situations and what's going on in hip hop, entertainment news, and everything like that. So, when you see these individuals that people have rocked with for a long period of time, and you don't see them, so of course people go bananas. They're like, what's going on? What's happening? Everybody's speculating, and everybody's putting in their 2 cents as to what's happening behind the scenes. But in reality, people, we don't know. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. When it comes to business, and when it comes to individuals who feel like what they bring to the table, what they want respect. They want they want it to let it be known that we bring value too. Yes, they are there to see Joe Budden. He has the bigger name. He has the bigger following. But you have individuals there that feel like we bring a lot to the podcast as well, in our insights and just our thoughts as well. And we're a team in this, and that could be their way of thinking. It could be all true, but at the end of the day, you had to know going into this that the I don't really like using the word meal ticket or whatever, but the cash cow was Joe Budden, and Joe has made some moves that only Joe can explain his own moves. I don't sit back and second guess people's moves because it's their situation and what the outcome of their decision making and career path that they take is totally, you know, is their decision. They control their own destiny and how they want to lay, what lane they want to go into, and how they want to lay the groundwork for their show, and in seeing the forest through the trees, so to speak. A lot of people can't see the trees. They only see, the forest. They can only see the trees. And not to say it's, that they don't have vision. They just haven't discovered it yet. And so obviously Joe is seeing a bigger vision, and he's piecing together a better lay of the land as far as where podcast goes, as far as creators, and maybe his teammates, they don't share that same vision, and it can get frustrating, and it can get a little awkward. And it was a little awkward the last few podcasts that I've seen when they were there. It seemed to be some awkwardness there. But, as, men, they have to, you have to read your contract too. If you have a problem with things, when it's all laid out, when your lawyers give you this and your managers, whatever, your lawyers, whoever that you're dealing with, your business advisors, put that out there to you and say, here's the terms and here's what they're, here's the terms, here's what we negotiated. And if you're not really feeling it, and you know right away if you're feeling it or not. If you're not really feeling it, then you have to pause right there. If you're not feeling it, you can't, you have to either tell your lawyer, look, I'm not really feeling this. Let's try to renegotiate this particular part. Not really feeling that part in the contract. Let's see what other kind of legal language or whatever that we can rearrange or throw out, whatever. You have to be forthright in what you're not feeling. And so when you sign these contracts and you know that you're not totally on board with everything, but you kind of don't want to make waves at that moment because everything is ready to go, and we're just, you don't want to be the person you feel. Maybe you feel a little pressure. Well, I don't want to be the one to just kind of hold this thing up and be the roadblock here. Let me go ahead and, okay, close enough. Let me go ahead and sign it. So when you sign that, now I don't know what kind of agreements that were made as far as down the road. This is just gonna be a temporary thing, or this is how we're gonna go. But we're gonna definitely get insight. I don't know what kind of agreements or promises, but I do know this: if it's not documented, it's not, on paper, any verbal agreements are just verbal agreements. They're not set in stone, and we have to realize that people will let us down. People will, people will fall short of our expectations. So that's just being an adult, and you just have to. Sometimes you just have to have a chin up. You got to put your chin up, and you just got to keep soldiering on until you get to that negotiating point again, and you say, let's revisit this point of it. In these rooms. So I don't know who's negotiating. I don't know if they're negotiating with Joe, if they're negotiating with Spotify, whoever they was negotiating with, Patreon. It's reported that Spotify was offering Joe $20 some million or whatever, and and Joe just kind of, I guess he didn't really, he didn't want to bite at that apple. He didn't want to deal with that. So he was looking for something a little bit more lucrative, I guess. Um, for people like Roy and Maul, uh, maybe they say, hey, man, they're looking at it like, whoa, let's get some of this money. And, this seems like a good deal for us. Yeah, we want to rock with you, Joe. We want to roll with you, man. But let's talk about this. I don't know if they're in position to talk about whatever. I'm sure they had their convos, but you know, when like I said, Joe is the captain of that train there, captain of that ship or whatever. At the end of the day, he's going to make a decision that's going to be based beneficiary to him. Uh, so I can't get mad at Joe for that. If you want to get mad at Joe saying, well, he's a bad business dude, man, and it's all about him. He's selfish, and he just wants this, and he's not really getting input from somebody else. Then that's fair. That's fair game. But we don't know what the terms or what the situation is. It's their business. But just to throw it out there because just because you don't see these guys, and apparently these guys as Joe said, they're taking vacations or they just had some things they need to work out, and everything should be fine. He hope. So this, and people were saying, well, Joe is screwing the podcast up. It remains to be seen. People, we don't know. I know people have their favorites. People have their they get to see how the podcast was and how it came about, but then it doesn't necessarily going to be people. These people are interchangeable. You understand what I'm saying? So you get attached to certain people, and if business come up and business is at the end of the day, they don't like the way the business is run, or they want to try something else, or they decide to leave the show. That happens. You can't get caught up in who's there and who's not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I enjoyed the show. You got people, clowning them. My man DJ got academics, and I like DJ academics. He's been roasting Roy and Maul for a minute, and I don't always agree with DJ academics and his when he got that flame out. But if he rings off, I don't always agree with what he's ringing off for. But he has his reasons, and he stands by them, and it is entertaining. But he goes in on them, and so we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure it's going to play out. Hopefully, Roy and Maul are back on the podcast. But if not, then, I guess it just didn't work out. And sometimes when you put friends and business and stuff like that, it get convoluted. But at the end of the day, the show must go on. And that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hopeful it'll work out. But, I'm not going to hold my breath if it doesn't, and I'm not going to say, oh, Joe's a bad guy. I don't know Joe. I don't know him from a can of paint. I just like his content. I like, what he brings to the table. So I don't know. I can't, say Joe is this, Joe is that. I'm not going to do that. I'll just be piling on that. And why should I do that? Joe does what's best for Joe at the end of the day. And people have to understand, it's business. It's nothing personal, or it could be personal, and it could be people just too close, and we just need to fall back, and that happened, and that's okay too. That's okay. People can walk away. You had a great run. You had a great, you had a great platform or whatever. So you can go and start your own. You can go and do something else. You can go and I heard Roy one time talking about he's not really big on podcasts. It's not really his passion. On another podcast he was on. So maybe, he'll find something that he really loves. And if this doesn't work out with Joe Budden, that he'll find something that he really loves and creative-wise and that he has a passion for, and he build his own brand on that. Same with Maul. everybody don't agree. Everybody don't get along. I mean, everybody, especially when it comes to money, business, and stuff like that, it can be very a touchy topic. So, people just need to fall back a little bit and let them work it out. If they can work it out, fine. If they can't, then life goes on. So that's my spill on that, and I hope everyone has a great day.